My name is Sergio Maravilla, and I want to thank you all so much for joining us today at our Navigating Majors Like a Pro. Today, we'll be having a lot of high quality information for you all today, specifically talking about majors and how that impacts the admission process. Once again, for your introductions, my name is Sergio. I am part of the UC Davis Transfer Opportunity Program. I'll be leading today's session. And I'm also joined today by two wonderful student outreach ambassadors who will be helping out with questions you have in the chat. Um, this is a webinar style format. So that basically means that you all can see us. However, we cannot see any of y'all. If you do have any questions, please utilize that Q&A function found at the bottom of your Zoom. That'll be the best way to get your questions answered throughout the entire presentation. And if there's any little harder ones or more specific ones, we can always answer them at the very end of today's session as well. Additionally, too, this session is being recorded. So if you have any questions, you want to go back to the information that we're sharing today, just note that this webinar, like all the other UC Davis top webinars, will be posted on our UC Davis top YouTube channel. So definitely be sure to check that out after today's session, and definitely be sure to check out the UC Davis top YouTube channel for other workshops as well that we pre-recorded. Going over today's agenda, we'll first start off with talking about deciding on the major, the importance of a major in the admission process, and things y'all should take note of. Then we'll go over talking more about demystifying major-related questions. That'll be fun. We'll just pose really common questions, and we'll answer them in case that any of y'all find yourself in those situations having those questions. Then we'll deconstruct the different types of admission requirements, from general admissions to major admission requirements and so on. And then we'll do a deeper dive into UC Davis selective majors and hopefully give you that important information so that way you are prepared in the admission process whenever you do apply. And then we'll wrap it up with talking about resources, the transfer timeline, and things you should know and how to stay connected with our team. So, as you all know, deciding on a major is very, very important. First and foremost, it is required for admission at UC Davis. Unfortunately, unlike first-year admissions, transfer admissions does not allow you to apply as an undeclared major. You definitely have to have a major in order to apply to UC Davis. And with that, it has some exploration as well. Additionally, too, depending on the major that you do select in the admission process, it's important to note that they may have different admission requirements depending on the major that you select. And then also, too, if you are exploring other universities, other campus options, which I'm sure a lot of you are, please note that different universities also have different majors. And then also, too, majors can have different names and area specializations depending on the campus that you're looking at. So, for example, if you're pursuing political science, that might be a very common major across a lot of a lot of different college campuses. But just know that each academic department across campuses are very different. And then also, too, please note that even if a campus doesn't have a major that you are looking for, they might have a major that is very, very close or very, very similar, but just has a different name. So the exploration on the major, picking the right major for each campus that you're applying to is going to be very, very important, not only for your career and your educational goals, but also to meet admission requirements for the university that you're applying to. So now, we're going to pose some questions, some very, very common questions, and then we're just going to provide some quick answers. So question number 1, Kim is a psychology major at community college. Does that mean she can only apply to UC Davis as a psychology major? The answer is no. Kim is more than welcome to apply for any major at UC Davis, regardless of whatever they are pursuing at their community college. As the first bullet point says, your community college major can be different than your UC major. If it is different, I will also highlight to please pay attention to the admission requirements for that major that you're looking into. Like we said before, some majors have different admission requirements than others. So if you're gonna step out of the thing that you've been studying, definitely be sure to research the different admission requirements that your major might entail. So for example, if Kim is a psychology major, but they want to go into engineering at UC Davis, that's great. They're totally welcome to do so. However, they definitely need to meet the engineering admission requirements just because they might not have been working on those mission requirements as a psychology major. Additionally, too, if you do have a major that you're working on in community college, regardless, we still recommend to double check the admission requirements for the major that you're looking to apply into because there might be a lot of overlap between your major at community college and at UC Davis. However, we definitely want to make sure that you're not missing any requirements that we might require that your community college might not. So looking at your major, making sure you have all the admission requirements is very, very important. Sometimes students also have questions about switching their major. Hey, I applied for this major, now I want to switch. At UC Davis, switching majors as a transfer student is definitely a possibility. However, it is not guaranteed. So we always recommend to apply for the major that you really, really want to study. Apply for the major that, will prepare you for your career, your future career. And please do not rely on being able to switch your majors after you transfer. Same thing goes for students who are looking to double major at UC Davis. It is definitely a possibility. However, whether you want to switch your major or declare a double major, you will have to wait 1 quarter as an official UC Davis student. Connect with the interested academic department that you want to switch your major into or double major in and get their final approval. And once again, it's not always guaranteed, but it is definitely a possibility if students are prepared, proactive, and have also previously worked on the admission requirements for that new major if you're looking to switch or add that double major into. Question number 2. Jackie's dream school is UC Davis, but she heard that there is no criminal justice major offered. What should she do? Jackie is correct. There is no traditional criminal justice major at UC Davis. In this situation, what I would recommend Jackie to do is to explore all the major options at UC Davis, see which class requirements are required for each of those majors, and see if there's any majors that on our campus that might be similar to criminal justice or might also get them to their career goals in a similar or maybe different path as well. Some majors that come to mind definitely include our sociology major with with law and society emphasis. Maybe they want to pursue political science to learn more about systematic injustices, or maybe they want to do psychology to learn more about criminal behavior. There are many different paths to your career goals, but the exploration aspect and finding which major is right for you is going to be a key part of that. If Jackie went through all the majors, checked out all the class requirements, and still did not find a major that is close enough to what they're looking for in a traditional criminal justice major, then in that situation, they might want to explore other campuses that might offer what they're looking for more specifically. It's important to note, most majors don't define careers or eligibility for graduate school. And then also too, most majors lead to a variety of opportunities rather than just one specific career. So if you're studying psychology, that does not mean you have to be a psychologist or a counselor. Yeah, many times, a lot of our undergraduate degrees at UC Davis are very versatile that can prepare you for a lot of different career options, different graduate or professional schools. So having that flexibility and having those resources such as academic and career advising is very, very helpful for our UC Davis students. I will say though, if you're looking to go into a more technical career that requires a specific major, please, please, please take note of that. If you want to become an engineer, please plan to study engineering. If you want to go into the tech industry, plan to, major something like computer science or data science or statistics, right? If you want to go to medical school, if you want to do a health profession, plan to take some bio classes, plan to take some chemistry classes as those might be required. But just know the job opportunities will be immense even with your bachelor's degree. Now we want to talk more about decoding UC Davis majors, basically highlighting very popular career paths that many of our undergraduate students pursue, but might not have a specific major. For example, a lot of students who come to UC Davis are pre-med students. They want to go to medical school, they want to have some type of health profession. We do not have a specific pre-med major, but a lot of the majors in the College of Biological Sciences, as well as the other colleges at UC Davis, might be aligned very similarly with the pre-med track. So for example, biological sciences, biomedical engineering, chemistry, human biology, molecular medical microbiology, just to name a few. have a lot of overlap with students who want to go into any kind of health profession. Excuse me. And then they also to meet a lot of the prerequisite requirements that medical schools often require. And this is just a very brief list. You can major in history and still satisfy pre-med requirements and still be a very competitive applicant for medical school. It's just the matter of taking the right classes and getting the right experiences outside the classroom as well. For nursing, UC Davis does not have a traditional Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. We do have a School of Nursing for students who want to get their master's degree or doctoral degree in nursing after their bachelor's. But very commonly, students still come to UC Davis wanting to pursue this career. In those cases, we'd recommend studying one of the following majors, such as biological sciences, clinical nutrition, human development, psychology, and once again, just to name a few. And then, of course, we do have a very strong pre-health professions advising as well, which can connect you to one-on-one advisors, expose you to research, internship opportunities, hands-on experience to prepare you for any kind of health profession. And that's probably I would recommend for any students going into these career paths, connecting with that department and pursuing a major that not only they find interesting, but will also prepare them for any graduate school beyond UC Davis. Other popular career tracks definitely include pre-law and teaching. Specifically for pre-law, for anyone who wants to become a lawyer, work in government or policy work or anything in that regard. Those don't require a specific degree. However, very popular degrees might include political science, English, philosophy, Chicano studies, or in honesty, any kind of ethnic studies majors, as well as economics, will be applicable for any kind of pre-law trajectory. And then additionally, too, UC Davis does not have a bachelor's in teaching. We do have a minor in education, which definitely does expose our students to hands-on classroom experience with kindergarten to senior year classrooms. So if you want to do multi-subject, maybe you want to teach elementary school, maybe human development, psychology might be most applicable for you to learn more about their growth and development working with younger age students. If you want to teach at a high school, community college level, maybe the single subject might be a little bit more applicable if you want to teach that subject in the future. So while Davis doesn't have these specific majors called pre-law, teaching, pre-med, or anything like that, we have a lot of majors that can still get you to your career goals and have a very fulfilling life. And then lastly, business is also very, very popular. And it's very important to note for transfer applicants, starting fall 2027, we will be admitting students for our new business major with very traditional tracks and things like finance, marketing, and things like that. However, for students who are applying for fall 2026, business will not be available. We would highly recommend pursuing one of our business adjacent majors, such as economics, managerial economics, mathematical analytics and operation research, sociology, and a variety of other ones that aren't listed here today. UC Davis provides a very robust pool of very strong competitive applicants, especially in the world of business. So it is not uncommon for our career fairs to, attract a lot of big companies and small businesses to recruit UC Davis alumni. And then also to being in Sacramento, one of the very top business hubs in the state of California, also offers a lot of internship and job opportunities for our current students and recent alumni who want to stay in the area. So yeah, definitely for those who want to study business, it will be open fall 2027. But in the meantime, we have a lot of other degrees that you can pursue. All right, going on to our third question. Fabian wants to apply to UC Davis as a biological sciences major, but is also applying to UC Santa Barbara as a marine biology major. Is that an issue? The answer is no. I'm assuming that many of you are applying to more than one campus as you're looking to transfer. And some of y'all might have the same kind of interests. However, some of y'all might have different interests. So it is not going to penalize your application if UC Davis sees that you're applying for a different major at one of our sister UC campuses. And if anything, too, like we said before, every single campus has their own unique majors, even if they have the similar name. So maybe the location, maybe the opportunities, maybe the faculty might really skew what you want to study at your specific campus. But regardless, it's not going to be an issue. You're more than welcome to apply to pick any major you want for any campus that you're applying to. So yes, like I said, applying to different UCs with a different major is totally okay. Majors can be called differently based on the campus that you're applying to. and also majors, focus, and specializations do vary by campus. For example, maybe you're applying to UC Davis as an animal science major or an agricultural sciences major because we have a really strong program in both those subjects. And maybe you're applying to UC Berkeley for their business program or their computer science program because they also have really strong connections with their network in the Bay Area. It all depends on you and your personal preferences, and of course, your career goals, your life goals after you graduate from your campus. If you're kind of curious about, okay, I'm gonna have this subject, but how do we compare the different programs across different campuses? I'm actually going to recommend to look at the second bullet on the slide right now, specifically highlighting the university catalog. The university catalog is a very comprehensive database that every single college and university has that tracks all the different majors that the university offers, and of course, the class requirements, the graduation requirements needed to earn that specific degree. So if you're curious about how different majors across campuses compare and contrast, definitely recommend checking out the university catalog and seeing what specific classes you are taking. Is there internship requirements? Is there research requirements? What kind of faculty are they doing in the research side? And that'll definitely be helpful if you want to peruse through there. And then, of course, checking out the department websites is also very helpful as well. This is often a very brief intro to the department, but a really good starting point for anyone who wants to do a deeper dive and compare majors across different campuses. And then also too, we do have a variety of tools you can do to specifically explore different major options. Specifically, Los Medanos College has a very strong transfer major exploration platform where basically you can check to see which UC or CSU campuses have the majors that you're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link and see if it pops up. So here you can see their database. Here I'm going to say you want to study anthropology, and maybe you want to do, once again, maybe archaeology might be the thing that you're looking for. So here you'll see all the different campuses that offer an archaeology or anthropology degree, both at the UC and CSU level, and then also to the major as well as the specific concentration that might be most applicable to you. This is really great if you, of course, know that UC Davis has an anthropology major, but what about all the other campuses that might also have the similar major as well? It can definitely broaden your scope or open up your eyes to maybe new opportunities that you might not have thought about, or different locations that you might not have even considered. Additionally, to UC and CSU also have some major exploration platforms. Um, Here specifically, it's for fall 2025, but for fall 2026, you'll be able to see, for example, all the campuses. Maybe you want to, of course, if you're transferring, you'll be a junior level transfer, and then fall. And you can also see which UC campuses offer the different majors. And maybe you want to type in the major that you're looking for right here, but it'll pop up. And then similar for the case of the CSU Major Explorer as well. For those who are most interested in the major and not so much about the campus that you are attending, we would recommend exploring UC Transfer Pathways. UC Transfer Pathways is an amazing opportunity for students who know exactly what they want to major in, but are open to what they might want to study or where they might want to study that at. Here on the slide today, you can see a list of all the pathways, all the majors that have pathways that are applicable to any UC campus that you might be interested in. They'll have similar core requirements that you'll need to complete that are applicable to all UC campuses, and of course, might help you out with your options if you're, once again, know exactly what you want to study. In the case where you do take location and campus very seriously, if that is a very critical aspect in your decision making, I would highly recommend visiting the specific campus that you're looking into and searching in the transformation requirements for their specific majors. Just because, of course, we have these pathways, it's going to be the same across all UC campuses, but there are some UC campuses that might have additional class recommendations. Hey, you should take this additional stats class, it'll be helpful. So that's going to be something else too if you already have campuses in mind that might have additional requirements. But if you have your major as your priority, not really mattering about the UC campus that you're going to be attending, then definitely recommending UC Transfer Pathways. All right. So that was a little bit about the major, how to definitely pick it, the resources, and the importance of the major in the admission process. Now we're going to switch our conversation a little bit more to how does your major impact your UC Davis admissions journey? We'll talk more about the general admission requirements. We'll talk more about major specific requirements and ways to get connected. But I also want to take this time to also say if you have any questions whatsoever, please use that Q&A function. We have our student outreach ambassadors currently in the chat right now helping out with any questions they can answer. And once again, even if you have a really specific question or maybe a little harder question, please still drop that in the chat. I'll be happy to answer those verbally at the end of the presentation as well. All right, to start, let's talk more about the UC transfer admission requirements in general. These transfer admission requirements are applicable to every single UC campus and will be needed for every single, will be needed at the foundation for all transfer applicants. We have 3 transfer admission requirements that all transfer applicants must complete. We have one that deals with units, GPA, and also our 7-course pattern. Starting off with units, we require all transfer applicants to complete 60 UC transferable semester units by the end of their spring term before their fall transfer. So that basically means if you're applying for a fall of 2026, you need to have 60 semester units completed by the end of spring 2026. If you are applying, if you're attending a community college that is on the quarter system, then in that case, you'll need 90 UC transferable quarter units instead of the 60. And also too, if you have these units completed, that will make you a junior level transfer, allowing you to focus on upper division coursework whenever you do get to campus, and focusing on your major requirements as well. The second requirement has to do with GPA. And this is really important to note before I go over any of the bullet points. That the minimum GPA for UC wide is going to be a 2.4. However, every single UC campus does have different GPA requirements. So if you do have a specific UC in mind, definitely, research what their minimum GPA requirement is. For example, at UC Davis, our minimum GPA requirement is going to be a 2.8 for the vast majority of our majors. It does not go below a 2.8. That will be the bare minimum for once again, the most of our UC Davis majors. The only majors that have a higher minimum GPA requirement is going to be all of the majors in the College of Engineering and also computer science. For engineering applicants and computer science applicants, your minimum GPA will instead be a 3.1. For any other non-engineering, non-computer science majors, your cumulative GPA requirement will be a 2.8. And of course, those are the minimum. We highly recommend to try as hard as you can in your classes to surpass these minimum GPAs, but this will be the benchmark for anyone who's kind of teetering along these lines. And now the last requirement is going to be our class requirements, which we call our 7-course pattern. The 7-course pattern includes a series of 7 different classes that all transfer applicants must complete. The 7-course pattern includes 2 English composition classes, 1 math class, and then 4 elective courses from at least 2 out of 3 of the following subject areas: arts and humanities, social and behavioral sciences, and also physical and biological sciences. These are, once again, needed to be completed by the end of spring term before your fall transfer, and these will be required for admission very strictly. All right. So these are the general UC transfer admission requirements. Now let's talk a little bit about the different admission requirements that you might experience, which is the whole point of this conversation today. So at the very top, you'll be able to see the UC-wide transfer admission requirements, which we just went over. These will be strictly required for all UC transfer applicants. On the second bullet point, like we said before, some majors at these UC campuses do have major specific requirements. And these will differ depending on the major and depending on the campus. But this is also going to be really important to note, because even if you satisfy the UC-wide transfer admission requirements, you still might also need to complete the major requirements on top of that. And then lastly, another requirement that you might be exposed to is our general education requirements. General education, for those who are not too familiar, are just classes that you take to have a well-rounded education, not just specifically on the major that you're focusing on or the subject that you're focusing on, but being able to pull from a lot of different subjects and fields so you have a very, once again, well-rounded education. There are some campuses that do require your general education to be completed before your transfer. That might look like completing your iGETC or CalGETC, if anyone is familiar with that. In regards to UC Davis, we do not require students to complete the general education before their transfer. We highly recommend completing their general education through iGETC or CalGETC before their transfer if they have the capacity to do so. If not, their application will not be penalized, and they should just plan to complete those general education requirements at UC Davis after their transfer. Of course, this might prolong your graduation timeline. However, you'll still be able to complete that even after your transfer as well. So, talking more specifically about major requirements, at UC Davis, we specifically call these selective majors. So anything considered a selective major has additional admission requirements on top of the general admission requirements that we just went over. And they will require this specific coursework. They will have specific GPA requirements, and all that will need to be completed by the end of spring before their fall transfer. Here is a list of all the different selective majors at UC Davis that you can pursue. We have the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, the College of Biological Sciences, the College of Engineering, and the College of Letters and Science. Important to note, every single major in the College of Biological Sciences and every single major in the College of Engineering, they are all selective. The College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences and the College of Letters and Science do have majors that are not selective, but you'll see that a lot of them that are highly STEM related. Additionally, too, not applicable for fall 2026, but definitely applicable for fall 2027, we do have some new selective majors that we are adding to the roster. The new majors include animal biology, animal science, wildlife, fish, and conservation biology, and then also in the bottom right corner of the slide, we have business. So these ones are not selected for fall 2026. All the required classes are recommended at this point, but as soon as fall 2027 applicants begin to apply, these recommended classes will now be required in the admission process. And then also too, I do want to take this time to highlight that QR code in the bottom left corner of the slide. If you have the capacity, please pull out your phones, open up that camera app, and scan that QR code. By scanning that QR code, it will take you to our selective majors webpage, which will basically highlight all these different majors that you see on the screen. And then also too, will highlight each different major requirement that you'll need to complete in addition to your general transfer requirements as well. I'll give it a second so you can scan that QR code if you have the chance to. If not, I'm going to ask one of our lovely student outreach ambassadors to drop it in the chat if they haven't done so already. So now we are going to talk more specifically about some examples. We're not going to go over all the admission requirements for all these selected majors, but we're going to go over a few. Today, we'll be talking more about the psychology transfer admission requirements. We'll talk a little bit about managerial economics for those who are interested in business. We'll talk about the College of Biological Sciences, the College of Engineering, and then also computer science to wrap it up. So to start off, here is all the major specific admission requirements for psychology. You should note that these course terms, these course codes, are in the context of UC Davis. So these are all UC Davis classes that you see on the screen today. What you'll need to do is find the course equivalents of all these UC Davis classes at your community college and be sure these are all completed by the end of the spring term before your fall transfer. So for psychology applicants, you must first complete Psychology 1, an intro to psychology class, Stats 13, an introductory class to statistics, And then also too, one of these two options, Biology 2A, which is essentially a bio class for bio majors, or Biology 10, which is a bio class for non-bio majors. For anyone who wants to do a more STEM focused route for their bachelor's degree, maybe you want to go to medical school, maybe you want to become a psychiatrist, right? We would highly recommend pursuing Bio 2A, the biology class for bio students. If anyone here doesn't really want to do the STEM side, they want to focus more on the social sciences, maybe they want to go into counseling or anything like that, then Bio 10, the bio for non-bio majors, is what we would recommend. However, if you do not take the bio for bio majors class, if you take Bio 10, you must take an additional biology class of one of the following. You must take Anthropology 1 or Biological Anthropology, Microbiology 10 or Human Heredity, or Neurobiology, Physiology, Behavior 10, which is Human Physiology. So that's really important. This happens all the time with psychology majors, that they take the bio for non-bio students and then they don't take the additional bio class. So it's really, really important that if you are a psychology major, if you're doing the non-STEM route, to definitely take one of those 3 classes. And then additionally too, like we said, selected majors at UC Davis do have also GPA requirements. The cumulative GPA requirement will still be a 2.8. However, for the selective major requirement, you must have a 2.9 GPA amongst these major specific classes you see on your screen. So that's really important. If you do not meet the 2.9 GPA requirement with these classes, then unfortunately you're not going to be eligible for admission for psychology, and we would recommend pursuing a different major where you do meet those requirements. Moving on to managerial economics, another popular major within the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. Managerial economics requires Econ 1A / Econ 1B, which is basically microeconomics and macroeconomics. Managerial transfer applicants must also take the equivalent of Math 17A, B, or C, and C, or the equivalent of the Math 19 series at UC Davis, or the equivalent of Math 21 series at UC Davis. If you're curious about what's the difference between all of those 3 math series, Math 17A, B, C, and A, B, and C are calculus for pre-med students and biology students. Math 19A, B, and C is applied mathematics and probably the most applicable for managerial economics or for anyone who wants to go into business. And then Math 21A and B is calculus for engineering and computer science students, a little bit more rigorous. You just need to take 1 year of calculus for managerial economics, but you have a couple options to satisfy that requirement at your community college. And then lastly, managerial economics students must also take Stats 13, or once again, Introduction to Statistics. The GPA requirement for managerial economics will be a 2.0 for the entire group of classes, with the cumulative college GPA still being the same as the general admission requirements of a 2.8 cumulative. For the College of Biological Sciences, like I said before, if you are thinking about a bio major, they all have the same selected major requirements. All majors in the College of Biological Sciences must complete 1 year of calculus. They must complete 1 year of general chemistry, and then they also must complete 1 year of biology. For the math requirement, you can complete either the equivalent of the Math 17 series, which is bio for pre-med or biology students, or you can complete 1 year of calculus for engineering students with the equivalent of Math 21A and B. This one is a little unique. So the selective GPA requirement for all the majors in the College of Biological Sciences is actually going to be a 2.5 GPA per series that is required for this major. So that basically means you need to have a 2.5 GPA amongst your math classes, you need a 2.5 GPA amongst your chem classes, and you need a 2.5 GPA amongst your bio classes. It's not going to be all together. It will be separated by each subject. So definitely shoot to have as high as grades as you can in these classes. I believe there's not that much wiggle room with a 2.5 GPA. Usually that'll be maybe a couple of Bs and maybe a C, but preferably you can get As and Bs and still meet that selective GPA requirement for any bio major at UC Davis. On the side, you'll also see that the College of Biological Sciences also recommends classes as well. Recommended classes are not required for admission, but you will need to take these recommended classes at some point, either at your community college or at UC Davis to meet graduation requirements. The recommended courses for any College of Biological Sciences major is going to be organic chemistry with either Chem 8A or Chem 118A, B, and C. And then also too, it is recommended to take 1 year of physics, which will be the equivalent of Physics 1A/B or the equivalent of Physics 7A, B, or C. For the College of Engineering, I first want to actually highlight the bottom right corner, highlighted in yellow. While their requirements are pretty standard across all engineering majors, it's really, really important to note that every single engineering major has additional requirements on top of the 3 that you see on the screen right now. So it is important that if you are an engineering applicant to please Google research your specific engineering major and seeing what the requirements are. The 3 requirements that you see on your screen will be applicable for every single engineering major. So that's why we're going to highlight those today. So for engineering applicants, you must complete a little more than a year of calculus for engineering students with Math 21 series. You must also complete the equivalent of Math 22A and B at your community college, which will be linear algebra and differential equations. You will also need to complete the Physics 9 series. And then also too, you'll need to complete a chemistry course. Some engineering majors require more chemistry, and the only engineering major that does not require chemistry is computer engineering. Another unique thing about engineering, our general GPA requirement for regular admission is a 2.8, as many of y'all remember. However, if you're looking for an engineering degree, your cumulative college GPA now must be a 3.1 overall, no longer a 2.8. Additionally, too, for your selective GPA, you now must have a 3.2 GPA for the major specific courses. So that's going to be a 3.1 GPA overall and a 3.2 GPA for these specific classes that you see on your screen right now. And this is going to just be for the entire group. It's not going to be off of the subject series. And we're not going to talk about it a lot today for our session, but for those who are familiar with the Transfer Admission Guarantee, or TAG, UC Davis does have that pathway available as well for a lot of majors, vast majority of our majors. For any student who is looking to tag for an engineering degree, your new GPA target will now be a 3.5 on the cumulative side, as well as for the major specific classes that you see on the screen right now as well. If you are an engineering student, definitely once again connect with the admissions team so we can help you out every single step of the way, and make sure to double check that selected major webpage that we went over before, so that way you know which classes you need to take at your specific community college. And now lastly, computer science, another really popular major at UC Davis. For computer science students, they must complete 1 year of calculus for engineering/computer science students, so Math 21 series. And they also must complete the equivalent of Math 22A, linear algebra, at their community college as well. And then lastly, they will also need to complete ECS 20, 50, and then 36A, B, and C, which is basically engineering and computer science classes. They're similar to engineering. Computer science cumulative GPAs must be a 3.1 GPA, not a 2.8. And similar to the College of Biological Sciences, computer science does have a selected GPA requirement of a 3.4 per series. So that's a 3.4 GPA in your math classes and a 3.4 GPA in your engineering and computer science classes that you see here today. There's only 2 majors at UC Davis that are not eligible for the Transfer Admission Guarantee, or the TAG, and computer science is one of them, and data science is the next. All other majors outside of computer science and data science are eligible for TAG at this time. So that was some examples and some ways to think about it for some of the majors at UC Davis. Hopefully, if anyone here was a psychology, computer science, engineering student, that was very helpful. If you were not a selective major, then you just have to focus on the general admission requirements. If you did find out that your major is selective at UC Davis, please once again do the due diligence and research the specific admission requirements for your specific major. Now I want to talk more about resources and tools that might be helpful for you in the process. As many of y'all might know, assist.org is a very wonderful, absolutely amazing tool, honestly. And it is made specifically, it's an online platform made specifically for California community college students who, one, want to learn more about which classes at their community colleges are actually UC transferable. Two, to figure out which classes at their community college meet general education requirements. And then three, probably the most relevant and most important to our conversation today, students can also see on Assist what major requirements they need to complete at their community college that are equivalent to the classes that we just went over for our selective majors. It is a wonderful tool. If you have met with a community college counselor already, you probably have already been exposed to this tool. And if you have not visited this platform, please, please, please check it out, explore it. It's a very wonderful tool to have in your repertoire. An additional tool as well is going to be the UC Transfer Admission Planner, or the UC TAP. This is an online planner for students who are looking to transfer to a UC campus. And basically, you can keep track of all the classes that you have taken, all the classes that you plan to take, which campuses you're interested in, which major you want to apply for each specific campus, right? So it's a really helpful tool to kind of get all your UC information all in one place. And then also too, if you do schedule a one-on-one advising appointment with the UC admissions office or transfer prep program, this will also be the main tool that we will use for admissions advising as well. We'll be able to tell you, like, great, you have all the classes that you need on your plan, so good job with that. Or we can highlight classes that you still need to part of your plan to meet admission requirements. And for those interested in the transfer admission guarantee, or the tag application also lives in this UC TAP, in the UC planner as well. Other helpful tools that I hope you've already connected with is your community college transfer centers. Those are great. They have professional staff, a lot of workshops, a lot of events to help you on your transfer journey, and very easily accessible for each community college. So definitely check them out. And then of course, connecting with each UC admissions office that you're looking to apply to, or the transfer prep programs like the one who's hosting this session today. Those are also very, very valuable tools on your transfer journey as well. So before we wrap up and we kind of open it up to any other questions that you all may have, I definitely want to highlight these important dates and timelines for specifically fall 2026 transfer applicants. To kind of go down the list, for fall 2026 transfer applicants, your application journey will start August 1st. August 1st of this year, 2025, is whenever the UC application will open for fall 26 admission. In September 1st through September 30th, at that point, anyone who's interested in applying for TAG, the Transfer Admission Guarantee, you'll be able to submit your TAG application in the month of September of 2025. For UC Davis, TAG decisions will be distributed to all of our TAG applicants in mid-November, either saying, congrats, you are preliminarily admitted to UC Davis, or unfortunately you are not. Please apply regular as all the other non-TAG applicants. And then between October 1st and December 1st, you will be actually able to submit your UC application to be formally considered for admission to any UC campus. Traditionally, the deadline for the UC application will be November 30th. However, due to holidays/weekends, we have moved the UC application deadline to December 1st to make it more easily accessible for on-campus support if you need it. For those applicants who are applying for TAG, please note that you need to submit both applications. You need to submit both the TAG application as well as the UC application. More specifically, without that UC application, you cannot be considered for admission to any UC campus. So please, if you're applying for TAG, make sure you submit both applications by the appropriate deadline. That's very, very important. And then in January, we do have some additional next steps for you. You'll be able to submit your UCTAU or your transfer academic update telling us what your fall grades were and what your spring schedule is soon to be. March 2nd, you'll be able to submit your FAFSA or the Free Application for Federal Student Aid or the CADA, the California Dream Act application to once again be considered for financial aid to attend college. And then also too, between March and April of 2026, you'll be able to hear back with an admission decision from the UC campuses. And then June 1st of next year, 2026, for all of our admitted UC Davis students, you'll be able to say yes or no if you plan to attend UC Davis and submit your SIR or your statement of intent to register. So this is the timeline. Take a picture of it. Make sure to take a note of it, add to your calendar. It's very heartbreaking whenever people miss the deadlines. So we want to make sure that everyone here listening in today's conversation doesn't miss these important deadlines and the timeline as well. All right. So that was everything we wanted to share today in regards to transfer process, how your major impacts your admission decision, and just other resources that you have available to you. Once again, this session is hosted by the UC Davis Transfer Opportunity Program. We host a variety of one-on-one advising, webinars, workshops, on-campus events for all of our prospective and admitted transfer applicants to UC Davis. So hopefully we stay in contact. You can follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, or stay in contact with us at our admissions webpage or our phone number. And then once again, and now we have about 12 minutes. So I'm going to go through the chat to see if there's any questions. If you have any questions now, it can be super specific, kind of in general, anything on your mind. Feel free to drop them in the chat and we can go over those right now. And then I'm also going to ask our wonderful UC student outreach ambassadors to highlight any questions that also might have popped up as well if they didn't know it. Okay. So we have a question in the chat. I'm looking to go into anthropology major at UC Davis through the TAG program. I would have a 3.4 upon transfer. If I complete the prereqs for another major, like mechanical engineering, for example, would I have to reapply or declare a second major considering the TAG admission? Such a great question. If you want to double major, essentially what that process will be like is you'll apply first to your primary major, and then whenever you're formally admitted as that primary major that you applied for, you join the East Davis campus, and at that moment, as an enrolled student, you will actually try to declare your double major in your major of your interest. Like I said at the beginning of the presentation, please do not bank on being able to switch your major because space might be limited, but that also might be applicable for double majoring as well. It's not always guaranteed. So what we recommend is if you're interested in any kind of double major, first, to satisfy the prerequisites at community college. And then two, apply for the major that you're most interested in applying or that you're most interested in being considered for. You cannot apply for a double major in the application process. You will only be able to apply for one. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you have your main primary major on lock, and then start the conversation as an admitted student for the double major for any other ones. All right, other questions. For transfer students, is cognitive science AB at UC Davis considered a selective major, aside from the usual requirements like prerequisites, IGETC, and 60 transferable units? Great question. Cognitive science is not a selective major. And actually what I'll probably do right now, I'll go back here just so you guys have it. All right, yeah, so cognitive science is not a selective major. For any non-selective majors, all you need to do is complete the general admission requirements and you should be fine. If I'm a computer science major, can I do bachelor's in computer science and maybe apply to law school at UC Davis? How does that process work? Great question. So yeah, if you are applying to UC Davis as a computer science student, and if you are eligible for computer science or if you're admitted for computer science, that's great. Plan to take classes solely based on computer science in that kind of field. If you want to go to law school, that's also wonderful to hear. You have to go through a second application process either during or after you receive your bachelor's degree and meet the admission requirements needed for law school specifically. Law school will require you to, one, probably have a really strong GPA. Doesn't matter the field, but strong GPA, doing well in your classes is a must. Two, you might have to take the LSAT. I'm not too sure what the LSAT stands for, but it's basically the standardized test for law school admissions. And then, of course, you will have to submit an application as well. So what I would recommend, if anyone here is interested in going to graduate school, professional school, either at UC Davis or anywhere else, you're more than welcome to research the admission requirements for that graduate program. And just also note that UC Davis does have a lot of support and resources for students whenever you are a current student, either through one-on-one advising, career fairs, graduate school fairs, and things like that, workshops, webinars, to help you also be a competitive applicant at that point as well. Now going on to the next question, is the GPA based on transferable courses pertaining to the major for Davis? So the GPA, the cumulative GPA, is going to be all the classes that you take in at any college or university that is determined to be UC transferable. That's where Assist is going to be a really wonderful tool, because you'll be able to confirm if the classes that you're taking are UC transferable. And then also too, just expect that all your classes will be taken into account in the GPA process. It won't just specifically be for your selected major classes that you need to complete. It will be cumulative. If you are pursuing a selective major, then that GPA for the selected major will be only considering the classes that we require for that major. But cumulative, it will take in all UC transferable courses. All right. Next question, I looked into a sociology minor and noticed some of the classes that UC Davis requires are equivalent to the ones offered at community college. Would those count towards the minor? Great question. So yes, we have a lot of minors at UC Davis. And for those who are not too familiar, minors are basically another thing that you can do in addition to your major at UC Davis. It will just be, instead of like taking 20 classes for your major, you're just going to take like 5. So if anyone here wants to pursue a minor, please note that usually it's 5 or 6 classes to complete the minor. And I will say too, usually minors only require upper division coursework. And those upper division classes cannot be completed at a community college. Usually you'll have to complete them at UC Davis. However, with that being said, there are some classes that you can take at your community college to satisfy minor class requirements as well. So if you see that, you're more than welcome to take those classes beforehand and just kind of speed your timeline to graduation for both your major and your minor whenever you do get to UC Davis. If you're curious about, honestly, you can just Google UC Davis minors, and all of our minors will pop up, and you'll be able to also check their academic webpage to see what exactly the requirements are for that minor and take those classes at your community college as well. Can you only transfer in the fall semester? Yes. At UC Davis, we only admit transfer students for fall admission. UC Merced, UC Riverside, and UC Santa Cruz are the only campuses that admit transfer students for spring admission as well as winter admission. Next question, for a career path in veterinary medicine, would I need to complete 3 calculus classes? I just completed Calculus 2 and plan to take Calculus 3 for the fall. So that is a great question. There are many veterinary schools in the US and abroad, and each of those veterinary schools have different admission requirements. So in this case, I would probably recommend to research veterinary admission requirements for each of the campuses that you're looking into to see if they require 3 quarters or 2 semesters of a calculus class or anything beyond that. Unfortunately, for UC Davis veterinary medicine, I'm not too familiar what their admission requirements are pertaining to math or calculus. But if you research the veterinary school at UC Davis, all of the admission requirements are easily highlighted. And then also too, I think they also highlight the classes you can take at UC Davis to satisfy that. So it gives you a clear sense of what classes that you might need to take. What is selective GPA? Selective GPA is the GPA that is required specifically for your selective major. So let's talk about psychology, for example. The selective GPA is going to be a 2.9 specifically for these psychology classes that we require. It's not cumulative or overall 2.9 GPA. It's just going to be the classes that we require for this specific major. Selective GPA is different from cumulative GPA or regular admission GPA. So that'll be definitely really important to note. If you have a specific major in mind, feel free to drop it in the chat and I can tell you what the selective GPA is for that specific major. But if not, just be really aware of that. All right. Here is our contact information once again. And I just want to say thank you all so much for joining us. I hope we all have a wonderful Tuesday evening and hopefully we stay connected soon. All right. Take care.